Hello, I'm so glad you joined us today. I'm the Reading Lady, and I'm here to talk to you about our new series. I'm so excited about it. So many people have asked, could we have more stories? Could we have more information? So, of course, I said yes. As a speech language pathologist, language acquisition is so important to me. And I work with so many families of young children and elementary school and high school students whose literacy skills are not where they could be. So I recognize and want to share with you the importance of read alouds. Now, in some of my other series, I have talked about the value of reading aloud to young children and what a wonderfully exciting thing it is to do in families. Remember, back in the colonial days, people took turns reading aloud in the evening around the fire. It was one way that they began to share information. So I want to bring this tradition back to families today because I believe it will build, familial intimacy, build communication skills, and build relationships, which to me are so very important and something that our society seems to somehow or other have swept under the rug in the advent of video games and individual TVs in every room and everyone having an independent schedule of activities. So I'm sending out this clarion call, let me say it like that, for families to gather once again around the reading table. So what's a read aloud? Well, quite simply, it's simply that you take excellent literature, quality classic text, and read it aloud so that it helps to build linguistic competence in the area of reading and most specifically critical thinking. I'm going to be talking to you about how to implement critical thinking questions, critical thinking activities along with the stories that we're going to be reading aloud. And this will build those skills that are so necessary for academic success. I'm going to be sharing with you culturally relevant literature. Oh, what's that? So many people say. But basically, simplistically stated, it's literature that authentically reflects the culture of a group of people. So in my series, I'm going to be emphasizing African American and Latino American culture. And you're going to say, well, our school has many multicultural books, and I'll respond by saying, well, everything that's multicultural isn't culturally relevant. And we'll go into that as we go through our series about what makes for culturally relevant literature. And the other thing I really want to emphasize is that in this series, maybe there'll be authors that you haven't heard of, and then when you go to the library, they won't have the books. Well, that's because so much of culturally relevant literature isn't considered or isn't promoted, perhaps that's a better word, isn't promoted as mainstream literature. So you might have to ask, oh, do you have this author, or can you order this book? And that would be important because one of the things that we want in culturally relevant literature is for all children to be exposed to literature that portrays and represents these cultures in a really authentic, accurate way. That the language, the African American language or the Latino language that is represented in the literature is authentic. As you know, it is a linguistically based language. It's not slang, it's not language of the street, it's not vernacular. It is a linguistically driven language, meaning it has rules that are consistent, that govern how the language is used. And just to give you a snippet of what I'm talking about or summarize what it means, think about a group of people who were colonized by another group of people, denied access to education so that they could learn then the language of the conqueror, as it were. So what did they do? They had their language, the linguistic foundation of their language, and so then they took the language of now the dominant culture and put it on top of their linguistic structure, and out of it came what we would consider broken English. But in fact, it is an English that is driven by the linguistic rules of the dominant language. Does that make sense? Well, write me about it if you don't know. Let me give you my email address in case you have forgotten. It's dr.smith@speechandlanguageplace.com. You can write me your questions and I'd be so happy to explain more if you like. Now, why? I think that gave you the why of why we're doing it. And when are we going to do it? We're going to have probably 2 stories a month. And you'll be able to subscribe if you're so interested to listen to the stories aloud and also to have the teaching about the critical language or critical thinking skills that we're going to be talking to parents and students about as we read aloud. And where is it going to be? Well, it's going to be at the website www.speechandlanguageplace.com. Because my main goal, my heart as a speech language pathologist, is to build literacy competence in you.